You know the moment a song swells, a voice climbs somewhere it shouldn't be able to reach, and the hair on your arms stands up. Goosebumps. From a sound. But nothing touched you. You're not cold. There's no danger in the room. So why is your body reacting like something just happened to your skin? Nothing did. That wave rolling up your arms lasted maybe 4 seconds, and you couldn't have stopped it if you tried. A pattern of invisible vibrations, arranged air, nothing you could touch, somehow pulled a physical reaction out of your body. So what crossed the gap between a sound in the air and the skin on your arm? To find out, we're going to follow that 4-second wave all the way down, because it leads somewhere you won't expect. Let's start with the bumps themselves. Buried under your skin, attached to your hair follicles, are tiny muscles called arrector pili. You have no conscious control over them. They answer to your autonomic nervous system. The automatic machinery involved in things like heart rate, breathing, sweating, and other reactions you don't normally command. When those tiny muscles contract, they pull your hairs upright. The skin around them rises. Multiply that across thousands of hair follicles, and you get goosebumps. So that's how your skin does it. But it only deepens the mystery. Why does your body have tiny muscles dedicated to raising its hair in the first place? To answer that, we need an animal with considerably more hair. Picture a frightened cat. Its back arches, its tail balloons, its coat stands on end. That's piloerection too. And, on an animal covered in fur, raising the coat can actually accomplish something. In the cold, erect hairs can help trap insulating air close to the body. During a threat, raised fur can also make an animal appear larger. Puff up, stay warmer. Puff up, look bigger. One mechanism with obvious uses on a heavily furred body. And humans inherited versions of that mammalian machinery. There's just one problem. Look at your arm, the coat is mostly gone. Somewhere along the human evolutionary line, our ancestors lost much of their dense body hair. Exactly why is still debated, but the result is obvious. Compared with our furry mammalian relatives, human bodies are remarkably bare. Yet the machinery capable of raising hair remained, which is why cold can still cover your arms in bumps, even though those bumps aren't going to turn you into a fluffy winter coat. For humans, that fur-raising effect is largely an evolutionary leftover. The muscles still work, the nerves still work, the command still executes. There's just much less fur for them to raise. It's pulling on a ghost. You're running fur software on a body that deleted the fur, machinery inherited from a much hairier past, still performing a movement for an animal you used to be. And that almost closes the case. Almost. Because cold makes sense. A threatened furry animal makes sense. But neither explains what we started with. Why does your hair stand up at a song? This is where the story turns. Scientists call experiences like these music-induced chills or frisson, and they're not imaginary. Researchers can measure physical changes while they're happening. Heart rate can change. Breathing can change. Skin conductance can rise. And sometimes, the hairs actually stand up, but scientists still don't have one settled explanation for why music can produce this response. Expectation appears to matter. So do emotional arousal, reward, attention, and other processes. And one of the biggest clues comes from something your brain is doing constantly while you listen. Because your brain isn't just hearing music, it's predicting it. As a song unfolds, your brain detects patterns, rhythm, melody, harmony, repetition. And from those patterns, it starts forming expectations about what might happen next. Musicians can play with those expectations. They can delay something you're waiting for, introduce something unexpected, build tension, then finally resolve it. And moments involving changes in musical expectation have been associated with intense emotional responses and chills. But prediction isn't the whole answer, because researchers found another clue inside the brain's reward system. In a landmark study, researchers scanned people listening to music that reliably produced intense pleasure and chills. During peak emotional arousal, they detected dopamine release in the striatum. Think about what that means. No food, no physical reward, nothing you could hold. Just a pattern of sound. And yet the brain's reward machinery was involved. But the timing made the result even more interesting. Different parts of the striatum were associated with anticipating the musical peak and experiencing the peak itself. Your brain wasn't only responding when the moment arrived, its reward circuitry was already involved, while you were waiting for it. Music had become more than sound. It had become expectation, emotion, arousal, reward, and now we're getting closer to the skin. Because intense musical experiences don't stay inside the parts of your brain that process sound. They interact with systems involved in emotion, reward, and physiological arousal. And your autonomic nervous system can translate that internal experience into changes throughout the body. Heart rate, breathing, sweating, skin conductance. And sometimes, those tiny muscles attached to your hair follicles contract, the hairs rise, the skin bumps, and suddenly the journey makes sense. A pressure wave enters your ear. Your brain finds patterns in it. It develops expectations. Powerful musical moments engage emotional and reward processes. Your physiology responds. And eventually, your skin does too. Mystery solved, except there's still a problem. Play the exact same song for two people. Same room. Same speakers. Same notes. One person feels chills racing across their arms. The other feels nothing. If a particular sound automatically caused goosebumps, that shouldn't happen. So the song itself cannot be the whole explanation. The listener matters too. And researchers have found clues in the way brain regions involved in hearing communicate with regions involved in emotion and reward. In one small brain imaging study, people who frequently experienced musical chills showed differences in structural connectivity between auditory regions and areas involved in emotional processing compared with people who didn't report chills. It was a small study. It doesn't mean scientists can look at your brain and predict your musical destiny, but it points towards something important. The reaction isn't only about the sound entering your ears, it's about the brain listening to it. So there probably isn't one magic chord that gives every human goosebumps. The music matters. Its patterns matter. Expectation matters. Your emotional relationship with the music matters. And so does the person hearing it, which changes what this story is actually about. At first, it looked like we were investigating music. Then it looked like we were investigating skin, but neither one is the whole story, because the physical machinery producing those bumps is ancient. Piloerection existed long before humans, long before orchestras, long before anyone sang the first song. The muscles raising those hairs come from a mammalian system in which lifting fur had obvious physical uses. Yet, in a human nervous system, that same machinery can become part of an experience as abstract as music. Evolution didn't build us a new body for songs. It didn't invent a special organ for awe. Old biological machinery became part of new experiences. And that may be the strangest thing hiding inside those few seconds. Think about the full journey. It begins as pressure moving through air. It becomes activity inside your brain. Your brain finds patterns, builds expectations, responds emotionally. Your physiology changes, and the journey ends on your skin. No one touched you, the temperature didn't drop, nothing crossed the room except vibrations. Yet, somehow, your body felt them. So the next time a song builds, the moment arrives, and the hairs rise across your arms. Remember what you're watching: ancient machinery, participating in a very human experience. Goosebumps from music aren't really just a story about your skin. They're a reminder that the line between your mind and your body isn't nearly as clear as it feels. Sometimes, all it takes to cross it is a sound.